Hey everybody, got a mini message for you today, and we're still over in Genesis chapter 19, and I want to start with verses 10 and 11. So what we're looking at here is kind of the middle of the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. If you haven't watched the previous video, it's really important for you to go back and do that so you kind of see the context of what we're talking about here. But the men of Sodom have surrounded Lot's house. They want the angels. Lot goes out, says, don't do this, men. This is not right. This is evil. And he actually offers his 2 daughters to them, which, as I talk about in the previous video, is just unconscionable. I mean, there's no way to justify that in any form or fashion. So the angels actually intercede here in verse 10 and save Lot. It says, but the 2 angels reached out and pulled Lot into the house and bolted the door. They blinded all the men, young and old, who were at the door of the house, so they gave up trying to get inside. All right. This is some just straight, legitimate angel, supernatural things happening here. As I think about this, for them to get him away from this mob at the door kind of shows me that there was even some supernatural strength involved here. Then they push the door to and they bolt it, and then they strike the men blind. Okay, that's interesting. So I think this has kind of 2 purposes. I really see a practical purpose in that if someone is trying to attack you, you have a mob of people trying to break into your house, them suddenly losing the ability to see tends to increase your chances of survival significantly. So there was a very practical reason for this, but then I also think that there's even a symbolic, spiritual part to this as well. Because a lot of the things we see in the Bible, there is symbolism flowing in with the actual accounts, and we can take things from this. So when I look at this, what I really see is a group of men that were spiritually blind. They'd abandoned God. They had abandoned His ways. They had abandoned truth. They had abandoned morality. Now they're wanting to attack and kill people. They're wanting to sexually assault people. This is just an absolute riot mob mentality happening here on the worst level, with some just unconscionable things happening here. And so their blindness physically is very symbolic of their blindness spiritually. They had no idea. They didn't understand God. They didn't know who He was. And so just as they were blinded spiritually, and that's evidenced by the choices they made, now they were blinded physically. We can blind ourselves to sin. We can try to talk ourselves into something is okay. We can ignore it. We can be blind sometimes to our own weaknesses and our own shortcomings. And that's what was happening here with these men. Physically blind and spiritually blind. You have a blessed day. We'll see you soon.